Right. I'm quite glad I didn't get the gig now. You've got to follow that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Fulton, man of many, many talents. Please give him a very warm welcome. The one thing I said to Hugh was, don't upstage me. Oh well, that's how it goes. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris. I have the honour and the privilege of being Hugh's best man. It really is an honour and a privilege. The words of everyone's friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man come to me. With great power comes great responsibility. And first of all, obviously the responsibility to get Hugh to the church on time with a fully functioning set of mental faculties. And we pretty much got there actually, which was very impressive.
I just about managed to calm Chris down.
Yes, and Hugh's trademark 15 minutes late was to the second actually. It was pretty good. I was very impressed. My second responsibility obviously is Alison, to you, to provide some words of wisdom as to what to expect in your married life together with Hugh. I mean, of course, because I've got to do this whilst treading that fine balance between, on the one hand, avoiding inappropriateness, and on the other hand, the pure, unvarnished truth. You are about to embark on, well, you already have embarked on really, a roller coaster journey of married life together, and actually I too have had the experience of a first evening living with Hugh. So I'm in a unique position actually to offer some pointers on, well, what to expect and what to avoid, probably. Our first evening living together actually was quite eventful. We just arrived, all of our stuff was still in boxes, we had no real entertainment, no TV, no PlayStation. We just had to sort of entertain ourselves really. For some reason the only thing that Hugh had unpacked was a rather large Lego set involving police cars and police helicopters and a large police station. We spent quite a bit of time building it, obviously, as you would, of course. Then Hugh decided that this wasn't enough. He was going to give all the characters voices with explosions. In fact, there was a lot of noise, and the next thing that happened was a knock on the door from our new neighbour, who we'd never met, with a bottle of wine in his hand, wondering what kind of party we were having, and wanted to join in. That was of course John, of whom more anon, of course. Alison. We sort of obviously do hope that you'll show hospitality to your neighbours, but I would encourage you not to do so quite so early on in your married life. However, obviously we became good friends with John, and today, finally for you, Hugh, those immortal words are true. Boom! Like swans! Which is a slight in-joke that probably most of you won't get. But swans spend the whole of their lives together, and our eccentric neighbour thought this was a very good picture for marriage. Russell's laughing. Well, that was enough. I keep thinking, why did Hugh ask me, a scientist, to be his best man? Who also can't really tell punchlines, but anyway, it'll be fine. Hugh, Alison, you'll also have the unparalleled joy of Hugh cooking for you throughout your life, which, like all things, Hugh is not shy when it comes to the kitchen. It's mostly all about showing food who's boss, armed with saucepans and frying pans and woks and every implement and appliance that he has at his disposal. His approach is mostly about three things: quantity, creativity, and a high fibre content. I'll be haunted to the end of my days by memories of ice cream tubs filled with a sort of brown-green mud paste substance, which Hugh used to call lentil soup. Or in fact, the trade catering-sized jar of pickled gherkins, which took him about 3 months to work his way through, and almost every time said, "I'm really glad I bought these." Of course, I wasn't lucky enough. I feel that I missed out a lot on not knowing Hugh before we both came to university in 2004. That's not because I think that we would have got on or I particularly wanted to know him at school. It's actually because throughout all of our time of knowing Hugh, every mention of any person who was at all famous or a celebrity of our generation would be met with a sort of offhand remark of just, oh, him, oh, I went to school with him. And so I don't want to know you at school because I would have liked you. I just think, where would I have been if I'd gone to school with you? I could have been a rock star, Hollywood film actor, but alas, I met you slightly too late. Not that much has changed about Hugh since he was about 4, I think. I'm privy to only a few stories from him in his growing up years, one of which he told me himself, so I feel justified in telling it now because he would share it with me. At the tender age of, I believe, 8, in 1995, I think, I can date it by the song, Coolio's single Gangster's Paradise came out, and Hugh heard it on the radio, obviously developed quite a fondness for it. It's got a catchy tune, you know, it's a great song. Saved up his hard-earned pocket money, went into town with probably a little stick and a spotted bag. Went to the record store with his money, and at the last moment realised that he'd forgotten the name of the song. What was he going to do? Unabashed, he goes up to the counter and says, I'm looking for the song that goes, tell me why can we so like to see that the ones we have are you and me. You did it probably much better, but I think you probably got the single out of that. No, you didn't get it! Oh, I'm sorry, Hugh. Oh, it's my wedding present to you then. Where are we? We arrived together in Oxford in 2004, like I said. I fairly quickly realised that Hugh is one of those people who knows everyone. According to Facebook, Hugh has 1,532 friends. Now this is an achievement, mostly because according to anthropologist Robin Dunbar, who gives his name to the Dunbar number, a normal human being can have at most 150 friends, which makes you the social equivalent of 10 men. I think the world is ready, in fact, for a new anthropological theory. I'd like to call this the Gifford effect. It's the ability you have to be able to go to any party where you know no one, and introduce yourself to people and start up conversations with the simple line, so how do you know Hugh Gifford? I've done it, and it works. Now, with all of these things together, I'd like to say that Hugh is a useful person to have around. I mean, look at the facts. He's incredibly intelligent. He's had quite possibly one of the best medical educations the world has to offer. He's a fabulously talented musician, actor, artist, you name it. He runs marathons, although barely. He comes up with world-changing ideas on a nearly hourly basis. And he's bosom pals with all of this generation's jet set. I mean, what's not to like? Why would he not be the most useful friend to have around? However, history has taught me that whenever I find myself in situations with Hugh, it's mostly his skills and talents that do more to get him into trouble than out of it. A few years ago, a few friends of ours, most of whom are here, went on what we called a yomp, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, it's a military term meaning a long enforced march carrying all of your kit. So a recipe for a wonderful weekend, obviously. After a long day's walking, we made our camp on the side of Snowdon in, rather appropriately, 1.5 foot of snow on quite possibly one of the coldest nights of the year. What, sorry? -5. Thanks, Hugh. Wow, you remembered. That's pretty good. -5. We made our camp. There was a lot of faffing. as there always is when Hugh is around. Yeah, there was for some reason Hugh had decided that it was a good idea to pack a large amount of shaving equipment. I'm not sure what he was going to do with it. Melt snow and, you know, kill a badger, make a brush. But managed to cut his finger open on a whole load of shaving gear. There was a lot of moving around, and I'm not putting any blame on you, Hugh, of course. The blame goes nowhere near you. But we did manage to spend the whole of the coldest night of the year with our tent door wide open and narrowly avoided hypothermia. But we made it through. It was a bonding experience, I think we'd call it. And of course, if I thought that being around Hugh would give me a valuable insight into a medical education that I could find useful in my everyday life and be helpful when it comes to first aid situations and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, Hugh's knowledge that he's passed on to me and our other friends around in Oxford who don't study medicine is a little bit more specific in nature. Probably about once a week, I'd say, during his clinical training, he would come home with the latest story of which object he'd removed from a hapless patient that week. Of course, it was all very entertaining, and I thought, oh well, you know, there's drama and fun and comedy in medical education. But I then started to wonder, it happened so much, I was wondering whether there was some kind of consultant higher up the chain who was just playing a long prank on Hugh. But some of the other medics here might be able to explain that happens maybe more usually than necessarily people might believe. With a similar frequency, we were treated in the house to what I can only describe as the results of Hugh's high protein and high fibre diet, which we named. We gave a name to the phenomenon. So what's the dictionary that you refer to? The medical dictionary? Oh no. Well, there's a new term that we can give to it called the GIF, which quite a few of us obviously encountered, and Alison, you should be aware of this as well. We're of course puzzled at the physical impossibility, seemingly physical impossibility of producing such mass. And of course went to Hugh and asked him how this was possible, and it gave us the second piece of medical information, which some say has changed their lives forever, which is, in his words, put your head between your knees and just breathe. However, this is not to say that Hugh wasn't unenthusiastic about medicine, because of course, those of you who know Hugh will know that he's not unenthusiastic about anything in his life. In fact, we realised at some point in his fourth year that the most used word that came out of his mouth, and therefore as a house, was definitely. And this weekend, quite a few people have remarked on the fact that people in Oxford seem to just say that everything is absolutely amazing. And I think that's partly Hugh's influence. Now, Hugh is a very special person. And I don't mean that in a sort of like endearing, kind of loving way. It's just that there aren't many people like him in the world. And actually, I think that the fact that him and Ali have found each other is truly a gift from God. And I can't think of anyone else who is better suited to keep him out of trouble for the rest of his life than Alison. I'm happy to pass you on the job. However, I think that knowing Alison and having got to know you over the last of your engagement and before, you're probably more likely to follow him in than get him out. I mean, it's been a real pleasure to get to know you. You make a fantastic team and you make a wonderful couple. And who else but Hugh and Ali would, who else but Hugh would plan his proposal based on a midnight river crossing in an inflatable dinghy he bought on the internet, in the 24 hours he had available in between both of them being opposite sides of the world. Who other than Hugh and Ali would embark on this mammoth task of planning a wedding for 200 guests with 6 weeks to go, at a distance of 360 miles away from where they were both living, and who other than Hugh and Alison could actually pull it off? Ali, In my speech, I've got written down that I should say that you look beautiful. That's a complete understatement, and I think any attempt to say anything more than Hugh's already said is just futile. So you do look absolutely stunning, and you make wonderful couple, and I'm very, very, very proud to have been asked to do this honour. Hugh, I'm just fairly glad you shaved off the beard, actually. I'm aware time is going on, so ladies and gentlemen, I would invite you to please be upstanding and raise a glass to join me in a toast to Hugh and Alison, happy couple.
I think somewhere along the line we've had some miscommunication, and we still need to toast the bridesmaids. So, bridesmaids to the bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids. No scary spies.